over you.
And that's my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay. Hey, either you guys play Super Mario Run yet?
Mm-mm.
No.
So much fun. What
So
is he
much
doing?
run.
So much run and so much fun. It's a blast. Like, I mean, the whole object of the game is really to get the coins and such, but it's cool to have a Mario game where the interface is as simple as tapping the screen to make them jump. There's so much complexity in that one simple motion. It's brilliant. And there's like two modes of it. There's the tour mode where you exit the levels, and there's actually this Toad Run thing where you compete against other people to see who can get the most coins, and you can get more toads on your side. You can build all kinds of stuff in your personalized kingdom. It's kind of that part of it is kind of Zynga-y, like early Facebook game era, where you'd have to like send 5 requests to friends or whatever to be able to build a whole town. Well, you don't do any of that. You just have to beat them in the game, but that part of it, that whole kingdom building part of the game reminded me of the Facebook games. But
Right.
Yeah, because it's not an actual Facebook game. Like you get a couple of demo levels and then you just buy the game, right?
yeah, you get 3 like demo levels of the 32, and then if you want to play the rest of it, you have to buy the game. And it's $10, which is a lot for a mobile game. But then if you think about how much they paid for previous Mario games, it doesn't seem that bad for what they're giving you. I think it's a good
But
value at least.
is it like it doesn't sound like a Mario experience? So comparing it to other Mario games, I think is only valid in that Mario's in it, because otherwise it doesn't sound like a Mario game at all. Like Mario games aren't just
Yes, no. So like the part of it where the
well, so like World 1-1 and a lot of Super Mario Brothers definitely, but there's no way you would ever pay $10 for that, for just that. Like I don't think you can even buy Super Mario Brothers just on its own. I mean, it's always packaged with other stuff, right?
Right, but I mean, the challenge of it is
Maybe.
not to beat the level; it's to collect all the stuff behind the level. So the replay value is actually really, really high on this title. I think it's a Mario title because the design is pretty much like New Super Mario Brothers. The mechanics of the game are a lot like that. In terms of the level design, it's pretty inventive and challenging the further you get in the game. So I think it's a Mario experience.
Hey, listen, as long as you're having fun, that's all that really matters. Whether it is or isn't a Mario, it's the fun that matters.
I
And
was
if you
just,
think
I
that
was
for
just
$10,
like,
yeah.
like saying that it's good for a Mario game. It implies that it's like it is a comparable experience. Having not experienced that, I don't know. I've just seen like the demo video. Like I haven't actually played it, but it didn't seem like that to me. But anyway,
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jack,
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Lauren.
and that is how you pivot. We are Glib Shark. Hey, we're talking about just Christmas stuff coming up on the end of the year. A little bit about Super Mario Run, a little bit about, I'm guessing, Rogue One and other things going on in pop culture. That's what we're here for. That's what we do. So, how are you guys doing?
I have not seen Rogue One yet. Christmas Day, I will see Rogue One.
I have
I've-
seen Rogue One.
Well, spoiler free. What'd you think?
I loved it. I think it was a very worthy Star Wars movie. It's it does a lot of things well, and I will just say that I am very, very, very glad that I did not see any of the trailers except the first one, because I was genuinely surprised by some plot points that happen and some events that happen in the movie, and I was totally geeking out. Well, what was really cool was I saw it IMAX 3D, and there was this group of girls that were sitting next to me, and they seemed young, but they also seemed really excitable. Like when cool Star Wars stuff happened, they would geek out, like just audibly geek out, and it was a lot of fun, and it is definitely, at the very least, it is a super fun Star Wars movie. Artistic merits aside, and anything like that, whatever. It's a fun experience for Star Wars fans.
And that's all that really matters.
Yeah, it's a ringing endorsement. Like, I feel like the theme of the episode so far has been whether something fits as part of this established franchise or not. So I think we're 2 for 2 so far. So
Yeah,
the answer is yes.
Yeah, the question is, did you have fun? If the answer is yes, then you're doing it right. Then thumbs up.
That sounds like a flow chart, and that sounds like one of many ideas I have to put in our T-shirt idea drawer, which I think is more of a four drawer for filing cabinet now.
I think it's a drawer that you put stuff in and then forget about, or that we
Yeah.
put stuff in and forget about.
It's true.
You mean like a credenza?
No, you don't. You credenzas. It seems like, and if I'm remembering, I don't think actually we didn't have a credenza. Okay, we're not spending another fucking hour talking about credenzas. That's already happened.
But it was fun. No, but we probably. I mean, that's a Dungeons and Dragons and Drunks thing. I do want to know how many people have gone ahead and Googled credenza now.
I would
I
think
did
that
just
we have an insignificant hit on the total number of credenza
Other
searches.
credenza market.
Yeah, or just the credenza searches.
Hey, Raymore and Flanagan, you guys have my email address. It's just latenightjenga@gmail.com.
Hit me up. How many credenzas do you think Raymore and Flanagan really have? I would think something as fancy as a credenza would be more of a Pier 1.
Well, I would say that if they don't, then two names don't say as much as they think it does. Oh, I'm calling out Raymore and Flanagan. I'm not even like 5 minutes in.
Are there... Okay, so is Raymore and Flanagan really owned by a guy named Raymore and a guy named Flanagan?
Aren't those the dudes from the Muppets who were standing on the balcony and like criticize
No,
people?
that's
It's the Statler
Waldorf
and
and Statler. Yeah.
Oh, I thought Raymore and Flanagan for some reason.
No, two of them are hotel magnates, and two of them are possibly fake furniture people. I don't know.
I got my driver's license suspended.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, that
Holy
was
pivot, man.
So that conversation was going fucking nowhere. So I decided to lay that down.
You suspended our conversation with your suspended driver's license. What happened?
Yeah.
So I had gotten into I'd been apparently a bad boy. I had gotten a speeding ticket, and I knew, like, it was one of those deals where you knew it was something you had to take care of, but it was constantly put off. Like, it was like, oh, I'll just deal with it later. Oh, I'll just deal with it later. And so it's sort of still in your mind, but it kind of slips away until during your workout class, while you have your phone connected to the giant Bluetooth speaker that everyone is listening to music to, you get a phone call, and it's your wife, and she's saying you got a letter from the Department of Public Safety saying your driver's license is suspended. Oddly enough, right after this workout class, I was going to go see Rogue One. So she's like, So you're coming home, right? I'm like, no, I'm going to go see Rogue One.
It's like, no, you're not going to drive, because that's just asking for lots
I was
and lots
already
of trouble.
out. Like, I was already, like, literally the theater was on the way home. So it was like, well, I might as well stop and continue my plans. So what happened was, I had gotten this letter because this ticket was just way out of date. So I hop onto when I finally did get home from Rogue One, I hop on the site where you pay tickets, and I'm like, okay, this is something I'm going to take care of. Okay, there's this ticket. Oh, I had another ticket. I had 2 fucking speeding tickets that I apparently had not paid.
What?
So, after dropping a lot more money than I would have ever thought on fucking tickets all at once, I had to go through a rigmarole for getting the license unsuspended, which put me into the Department of Public Safety yesterday. If those of you who are friends with me on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, you have probably seen a picture that I posted about a very archaic state law, and I'm actually going to put that into the chat here.
Oh, yes. I saw this, and I had no idea what this context was.
This context was this oh, wait. What? Hold on. You know what? I'm just going to put it there.
Apparently his Instagram has been suspended.
No, I have to download the folder in order to throw it up into the chat here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Now I know why that folder exists. Okay. All right. Because we did not have serial podcasts, and I had set aside a folder for that. Last week was supposed to be episode 513, but since it didn't happen, this is now episode 513.
We've taken over the podcast. I guess we could talk about cereal.
Well, hold on. Okay, so this is the picture that I put up in the chat or in the stream. So basically, this was at the Department of Public Safety. Now, it is a sign that essentially says cursing in any place in the presence of females or the presence of children under 10 years of age shall be liable to a fine of not more than $100 or imprisonment for not more than 30 days or both. You cannot swear in Oklahoma.
In front of women or children. Now, what happens if you swear in front of a female child?
It says any place. If a person shall utter or speak any obscene or lascivious language or word in any place. It doesn't say
or in the presence of females.
Or in the presence of females.
Oh, okay. I thought, sorry, I was remembering it. I hadn't seen it that you'd posted it, and I thought it said basically said this in the presence of females or children. But damn, okay. So even in your own home. So if you swear in front of Tiny Wife,
I owe the state $100. Now,
or 30 days in jail,
30 days
which
in
is
jail.
kind of crazy.
Now, it's absolutely insane. It is one of those laws that just simply should not exist. Now, it was funny because a friend of the show, Izzy, and I were talking about this law. She took it to mean that I now owe her $100.
Wow. I feel like we should need to try this next week. This is a 2-part episode.
No.
The second part's going to be the trial, where we bring Izzy on to sort of like argue this case. That's
not
who owes
happen.
it. Aw.
No.
Like our Christmas special, where we always feature Star Trek episodes featuring Cardassians. Maybe we can finally do the There Are 4 Lights episode.
Well, we probably can. It just won't include certain people.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was, and I get why that's up at the Department of Public Safety. This is a place of stress. This is a place where people's license gets suspended, where they find out they can't drive anymore. So posting that cursing is a crime, I could see the practicality in that. That said, it's a fucking ridiculous law. It really is.
30 days in jail for dropping the F-bomb. Holy cow. Like the $100 I think is also kind of extreme, but I don't think $100 equals 30 days in jail. I think one of those is a relatively, depending on your financial situation, one of those is a financial hardship that is manageable, and the other is like ruin your life.
Life-ruiningly bad.
Seriously, I mean, $100 is, even for people who are working at minimum wage, doable to obtain in a couple of days of work. 30 days in jail could ruin that same person's life. I don't see those as equal, nor do I see those as equal to dropping the F-bomb in a public place.
Now, every state has these sort of weird laws that are on the books. For instance, in Pennsylvania, it's illegal to take liquor across state lines. So if you buy liquor in Jersey or Delaware, if you bring it into Pennsylvania, that's technically against the law. I think it's a misdemeanor or something like that, but it's rarely enforced. Whereas Oklahoma specifically, they posted it somewhere. It's not like an old archaic law where it's like horses must wear diapers at all times kind of thing. It's out there, and it looks like they could enforce it. And I get the logic behind having it in a public place like that to make sure people control themselves and don't cause a scene publicly in a high stress environment. But at the same time, if you were to be enforced outside of that environment, I would take issue with that because it seems like
it seems eminently enforceable. Like I said, it is so broad. It is one. Like I said, it's archaic. It's sexist. I mean, I get maybe spelling out don't cuss in front of kids as a general just rule of being. But why is that? I get that this is a law because from what I've seen of Oklahoma government, it is not smart. It's not an intelligent governing body. And apparently, going back to 1910 when this law hit the books, it has stayed the case. It has stayed that way. This is the same state that tried to get the Ten Commandments on the Capitol steps. And then when other religious groups like Muslims and Jewish folks and Satanists wanted their own monuments on the Capitol steps, that was when they were like, whoa, no, there's no funding for this. No, we can't have this at all. And now they're trying to do the same thing. They're trying to reintroduce a bill. There was a state question that would give money to religious for religious purposes, state money. And it's like, why are you continuing to try and make this a thing?
Because some people. I wish I had a better answer than that, but I'm just because some people. Listen, I started off the day this morning. I woke up and browsed my Twitter feed just to kind of, see what was happening at the beginning of the day and get myself going. And one of the things that was posted to my Twitter feed was a Samantha Bee has that new, I think it's actually an internet show, but it's her own basically daily show type rant talk show thing. And
it's on TBS.
Is it on TBS? Okay, I've only ever seen
TBS Turner. So yeah, it's on real TV or cable TV at least.
Well, and even if it wasn't, I would feel the same way. I've just only ever seen it in clips on YouTube. But this was a 7-minute video of her and Glenn Beck coming together to agree on things. Like, it was the weirdest video I've watched in a very long time. Especially the moment in where Glenn Beck said, I spent a lot of time, and I'm paraphrasing, I spent a lot of time sowing so much dissension and hatred, and sometimes we forget that we can disagree with people and still remember that those are people, and not demonize those people. And I said, holy shit. Oh my God, Glenn Beck just said something I agree with. Like, that's the way my day began. So I'm kind of at the point with people who I disagree with for various and sundry reasons that span the spectrum, where it's because of people. Because people. What else can you say? And yes, I just admitted on the air that I watched and agreed with something Glenn Beck said.
Yeah, it's yeah. That's the world. That's the
world
world of
in,
madness we now live in.
And I do recommend, if you get a chance, watch the segment. It's fascinating. It's fascinating on both sides for them to. I mean, it almost feels a little scripted, but the fact that both of them say some of the things that they do is kind of insane, and I think it's actually kind of hopeful. I would like to think that if people on either side, especially of the political spectrum, who have had such divisive views can come together and be like, yeah, maybe we should stop being so hateful towards people who don't think the same way we do, then maybe there's still hope in the world for us. Yes, Glenn Beck brought me hope at 7:00 this morning. What the fuck is going on with my life? And now I owe $100.
That seems like the title of a really bad beat poem.
Anyway,
Glenn Beck gave me hope at 7 a.m. in the morning.
So to tie off the driver's license thing, my driver's license was reinstated. Like
Yay!
I said, it cost a lot of money and made the weekend a little bit more stressful. But I am no longer a criminal, at least in this respect.
Yay!
Hooray! And it's an easier thing than you think. Like, I think this time last year, my driver's license was suspended. Or a few months ago, I had an out-of-state ticket, and I paid the ticket, but I don't think it was out of state. So you have to tell Pennsylvania when you do that too. Otherwise, they just assume it's not taken care of. So I randomly got pulled over for taking a right turn on red, and I figured, all right, I'll bite the bullet, take the fine. Like, nope. According to this, your license is suspended. I'm like, what? I took care of that ticket. So I had to have my wife come and they were going to tow my car, but luckily the cop got pulled away, like called away to break up a fight or something. So I had to call my wife to come get me. I had to take the next day off from work and have her drop me off at the driver's license center, explain all of that, and then get my license reinstated. It was very much no fun.
And that wasn't even because you hadn't paid the ticket. That was just because you hadn't informed Pennsylvania that you'd
Or
paid the ticket.
because the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the state of Delaware don't talk to each other, even though they're next door neighbors. I don't know. Like, even the suspension notice they sent me, told me that I would have to take no action as long as I paid the ticket. They had no telling the state. There's none of that. But they had no problem suspending my license. Well, government, am I right?
Government.
Goddamn 2016. I'm
Yeah.
ready for this year to be over.
Same.
So okay. Since the last time we broadcast, we have now lost John Glenn, Zsa Zsa Gabor. Who else? I know we've lost a few more people.
The big ones, right?
We lost. He was Alan Thicke.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Alan Thicke.
And that one hurts. I grew up watching Growing Pains, so I'm sure you guys did too.
I did. Yeah,
maybe.
I watched it a bit, and I mean, I wasn't a huge fan of the show. It was kind of it was a TGI Friday show, right?
I think it was actually on Tuesdays.
Okay. I do remember watching it when I was a kid. It wasn't one of my favorites, but I watched it. But Alan Thicke he's been so prolific since then. And I know he was like one of those guys like Tom Bergeron, who you see on like TMZ, and they're just the nicest people. Like, they'll always go up to the photographer or the videographer, and they're always like kind of messing around with them. Both those guys were really seemed like very nice, genuine people. And it sucks that he died in apparently one of the most Canadian ways possible, playing hockey.
Oh, was that? I did not know. How did
He was playing hockey with his 19-year-old son, and he had a heart attack.
Oh, jeez. God, right there with his son. That's rough.
So one of my favorite roles for Alan Thicke actually wasn't even Jason Seaver, although Jason Seaver was a great character. For like 20 years ago, there was a show on after Growing Pains ended called Hope and Gloria, and it starred I don't remember the ladies who played Hope and Gloria, but Alan Thicke like played one of them, their bosses or whatever, and he played a character who hated the actor Alan Thicke, and he actually called him Alan Thickhead on the thing. I thought I was just tickled pink by that, and I'm like, some actors wouldn't be able to bring themselves to lampoon themselves and so sort of openly, and Thicke didn't have an ego about it, and survived by Brennan Thicke, the voice of Dennis the Menace from the '80s Dennis the Menace cartoon, and of course Robin Thicke from Blurred Lines.
Yeah, I think anyone who has the fortitude, the constitution, as it were, to let themselves be made fun of and be in on the joke, I think there's got to be good in them. I think anyone who can do that, that's a pretty good sign that you're probably an okay person. Your ego is not so crazy that you can't laugh at yourself. That's a sign of a healthy person right there.
I'm inclined to agree.
I, on the other hand, am perfect.
There's no lampooning Lauren.
Nope. There's nothing funny about me. I am awesome. Sorry.
There is absolutely no follow. As long as there are absolutely no follow-up questions, I am awesome.
Yeah, apparently everybody agrees with me. Fuck you all, I'm perfect. Oh, I owe another $100 to Oklahoma.
Another one for the t-shirt drawer.
Since this conversation is actually being hosted in Oklahoma, since I'm running the Skype call, yeah. Sorry, guys.
Wait, are we all criminally liable because these words are being emanated out of Oklahoma?
And if you want to get, like, depending on how you want to do internet presences, it's in front of a female.
But wait. I am the female, so does it still count if the female is the one that swears?
The law is pretty vague, I would say. And so, like, if you were to go cuss in front of a mirror, like, is that $200?
I am technically in the presence of a female. That female happens to be me, but
It's a good thing this isn't a podcast suitable for children or whatever. I mean, just if as long as we're in trouble, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? I mean, do we want to go full SDN on this?
I don't know what that is, and now I'm scared.
Hey, listeners, let's our contest. If you know what SDN is, send me an email at latenightjenga@gmail.com, night with NITE. And if you're right, I'll send you a prize.
Also, don't say it out loud in Oklahoma because you'll owe money.
Yes.
The holidays are coming up. Obo, you don't
Thank
have a traditional job, so I imagine you'll be getting busier as we approach Christmas. Yeah, that's the case, right? You have a couple of gigs?
Well, I'm actually almost done. So yeah, December is usually one of those crazy times for me because everybody under the sun wants to go see the Nutcracker or listen to the Hallelujah Chorus or go to a Christmas concert. And I've done a lot of that. The only thing I have left is Christmas Eve. I'm playing, as is per normal, I'm playing a gig at a church for their, not their midnight mass, because fortunately the church that I play for is not doing a traditional midnight mass. It's the 10 p.m. mass that will get out at like 11:20, 11:30, and it ends with them doing the candlelit vigil out, and then they go until midnight. I get to leave at that point. But fortunately, yeah, that's the last one I have. But I have had a multitude the last couple of weeks of Christmas tunes and a lot. Oh, I am so ready to not do Christmas music anymore, guys. Oh my God, I'm so ready. Anyway, yeah, money is good and gigs are good, but Christmas. But how about you guys? You're probably winding down a little bit.
We were really busy on Monday, a little less busy today. I think as we go further into the week, things are going to start to sharply decline. I think tomorrow is going to be much less busy than today, and then Thursday and Friday sort of similar. I think they're probably going to do like early outs and stuff on Thursday and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And we're actually working the entire week and next week, since Christmas and Christmas Eve both fall on the weekend. They're not giving us like weekdays off. We're just working a normal week. However, we are getting paid for the weekends. And since I work in a group that doesn't work the weekends, it's not like any of us can volunteer for overtime unless we go and essentially volunteer to do a different job, which I'm not going to do. Fuck that. And actually, I'm going to be in Dallas this weekend.
Nice. Seeing family?
No, we are going to see Book of Mormon.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, it's a quick little trip. We're gonna drive down on Saturday, see Book of Mormon. Then we are gonna go. Staying at the Omni for the night, so we're really looking forward to that. Then we're probably gonna screw around. Maybe take a look at the hotel. Maybe walk around the area a bit. There's a draft house that's nearby that we're gonna go and see Rogue One at a little bit later on in the evening, and then we're coming back on Sunday.
Sweet.
Yeah. Quick little trip, and it's kind of our Christmas gifts together because those tickets were really expensive.
Yeah, Luke and I, for our Christmas gifts to each other, we're going to Cinnabar to see Rogue One Christmas Day, and then we're basically doing the traditional Jewish Christmas, which is we're going to see a movie and eat Chinese food. In fact, Luke actually confirmed that the Chinese place that we want to get Chinese food at, they are open Christmas Day, so we are good to go. Pretty much as soon as we're done here, I'm gonna go buy the tickets. We're gonna go see it at the Cinnabar, our favorite place to go see movies, because no children and alcohol, but mostly no children. How about you, Jenga? What's your plan for the weekend?
Well, so many Christmases. I actually gave a Toastmaster speech. I finished one of my advanced communicator manuals. I think it was the one with entertaining speaker. And the last speech requires you. Thanks. So I'm halfway to getting my advanced communicator bronze. So, yay!
Cool. I haven't been to a Toastmasters meeting in a while, just because with with some of my issues that I've been having, working out has been more of a priority. But I think things are starting to kind of get under control, and I've been working out in other ways. So in the new year, I do want to get my my competent communicator and my competent leadership done.
Nice. I'm right around the corner from getting my CL. So I just have one more project. I'm speaking at a conference. I can't really say the name of the conference because it's proprietary related to the place where I work, but it's a developers conference. So that's actually kind of cool. So what I'll be doing is giving a module about how to sort of, how to make technical knowledge accessible, because I'm someone who doesn't come from the technical background at all. So my job is to sort of help people who have the knowledge but don't have the confidence to speak, to find that confidence and to find ways to make that knowledge transferable. So that'll be the module that I'll be speaking about. It's so cool to be speaking at a conference and everything. But back to my Christmas. So my speech was about how I had to go to all these different Christmases for the past 10, 15 years because in-laws and relatives and such. But this year won't be too bad. We have Christmas Eve Mass at my church. Saturday, Christmas Day itself, we were invited to brunch by my brother-in-law's sister, so we're actually going to spend time with her and a bunch of her family. That evening, we're going to be going to Jersey to spend time with my wife's family, and then Monday, actually, Christmas Monday, the day after, I'll be spending time with my folks, either at my sister's or at my parents'. Don't know yet. Mom, Dad, Eileen, if you're listening, let me know. Just tell me where to go.
Tell me my itinerary.
Yeah, so kind of a low-key Christmas, and we might be buying a new car at some point. So that'll be happening. Yeah, so I don't know if I should say this or not yet, but we have reasons where the vehicle that my wife has will no longer be sufficient. It's an older car, too. It's a teenager, and it's a moody teenager. So we were thinking, end of the year, they tend to have really good deals on invoice and stuff like that. They're trying to clear their inventory, and they tend to do really good deals. So we're thinking about getting an SUV. So we're probably going to try and make an appearance before the end of the year, try and see if we can make the deal work. We'll probably get maybe a Nissan Rogue or a Honda CR-V, something that small size crossover SUV kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah,
well,
it'd be nice to
good
have a new
luck
car.
with that. But yeah, hey, new car for Christmas.
Yeah.
Are you going to get it and then put a big giant custom bow on top of it and then drive it into the driveway and be like, "Hey, honey," and then she'll say, "I'm in the car and I know what you did," and it's still adorable.
If I tried that, she'd divorce me.
Aww.
No, we got plans for like a kind of small gift exchange on Christmas Eve. So we kind of do like the 3 Christmas thing. So my family's Christmas, her family's Christmas, and then our Christmas, where it's just me, her, and the beagle who's scratching around on the bed next to me right now.
Yeah. And Christmas Eve happens to also be the first night of Hanukkah, so I pulled out my menorah and made sure I had enough candles, and I am good to go. Thumbs up. That's it. Like, you guys, Christmas and trees and presents and everything. I'm like, I have candles and a candle holder. I'm all set.
Speaking of Hanukkah, I actually saw a polar bear with inflatable, like a Christmas decoration. We're doing Christmas caroling for my church this past weekend, and we're driving around, and we see this giant inflatable polar bear with a yarmulke, and it looked like a prayer shawl or something, and a Star of David on the prayer shawl. I'm like, okay, that is a very observant bear. It's a mitzvah for all involved, both who see it and the house who contains the apparently kosher keeping polar bear.
Wow.
Yeah, I wish I'd taken a picture. I probably could have put it in the link dump or something. But I was driving a van, so that probably would have been bad.
Yeah. I don't think seals are kosher.
Oh, this is a bear.
Well, but you said it was a polar bear.
Right. Seals are probably not. They're seafood, right? Kind of, sort of.
Yes, but well, they're seafood, but it's yeah, they're technically mammals, but
can mammals
either
be
way
seafood?
Either way it's shellfish that's not kosher. So
right. I guess it depends on how the seal is slaughtered.
Well, yeah, I mean that is dependent all the time. I also just don't know. I'm gonna Google it because I know giraffes are kosher, but I don't know about seals.
So if you ordain a polar bear, and he slaughters a seal, as long as he says a prayer, beforehand, then that seal's kosher, right?
Oh, okay. Wait. So I have a couple questions. Do seals have a neck?
Yes.
Okay. So and they don't have cloven hooves, and yeah, they are mammals, so they would oh, okay, wait, here we go. Kosherconsumer.org is the place that I always go for my kosher needs. Shellfish, crustaceans, mammals such as seals, dolphin, whales, etc. are not kosher. The
Is
dolphin fish is a kosher fish, however, but swimming creatures, i.e., seahorses, squid, lobsters, are not considered fish and are not kosher. So it is, nope, seals are not kosher.
so
Huh.
that's interesting. Is it just because they come from the sea?
Let's find out. I think it's because it is not considered. Okay, a kosher fish is one that originates and lives in water. Kosher fish must have scales and fins. Um, let's see.
So is
Caviar.
shark kosher?
That's a different question.
I don't know. We should we'll why don't Obo Gracie
Yeah,
you make a post about like what like our kosher discussion. Like what is kosher? What is not kosher?
I mean, there's a lot of random stuff that goes into kosher. The historical fun behind kosher is that it's literally a set of rules that rabbis came up with because they were the only people in town who had any kind of education and could read, and they noticed things like, hey, when you put the this food next to that food when they're both raw, people got sick. Hey, when you eat this food because nobody knows how to prepare it, you got sick. Hey, we're a desert people, and so we don't even know what shellfish is, that kind of thing. And so kosher was an attempt to use God's laws to keep people from getting sick. It's no, it's not a surprise that the laws that dictate um, how you make things kosher also happen to be fairly good practice for, say, not eating bad meat, not eating bad food, not ingesting bacteria, not giving yourself salmonella, things like that. And the end result is one of the last steps is that in order for it to be properly kosher, it is supposed to be blessed by a rabbi. The reason for that is because the rabbi was the smart person in town who could tell if you did things right. And so if the rabbi said it was okay, then the smart person said it was okay. Um, it was a fairly basic set of laws, and then my desert people left the desert and started finding new and different animals like shellfish and giraffes, so they had to come up with more, like, are bald eagles kosher, shit like that. So there's a whole bunch of things that just, seals, they wouldn't have thought about seals. So the giraffes are the funniest thing. I just love going back to giraffe.
I feel like now I'll have a fact that I can go on. Tell me something I don't know with. It's I don't know if you guys have heard of that podcast or not.
No, I have not.
So Stephen Dubner.
Tell me
from-
something I don't know about this podcast called Tell Me Something I Don't Know.
Okay, so Stephen Dubner, who does the Freakonomics podcast and is also sort of a journalist and wrote the series of Freakonomics books, decided to make a game show where people, rather than being quizzed on stuff, actually come up with like facts that people may or may not know. It has to be something that's reasonably not known. Has to be something that's actually kind of useful, and also has to be something that can be verified, like through Google search or through a search of academic journals or whatever. So people actually, and there's a panel of like three celebrities who judge like these facts from different people like who come onto the show, like different contestants. And one of the judges was Hannibal Buress, the comedian, and it's really cool to see them like him react to all this stuff. Like a comedian's like a kind of perfect thing. It's like, and there was another one, I forget what his name was, like this British comic who talked about how all comedians are political scientists, and just the idea of like it's not only entertaining, but it's also you can learn stuff on the show. So it's sort of like part wait don't tell me, only it's not like a news quiz. It's more like who can make the most like entertaining and educational like kind of fact that people have. I mean, there's one about I guess how apparently like doctors, like the whole medicine doctor thing, like the way that medicine is set up, it's really more towards billing than towards relationships and how that's like damaging to whatever. And he made a really articulate argument for it. And I've only been 6 episodes so far, but it's very quickly. When I find a podcast I tend to listen to the entire thing, like to get caught up. So I did that with Jay and Miles explaining the X-Men. I did it with The Greatest Generation, which is a podcast of where two like people who are kind of ashamed to be like two Star Trek fans who are kind of ashamed of that they're Star Trek fans a little embarrassed to have a Star Trek podcast, like sort of review Next Generation like 30 years after the fact, where they talk about like the tight uniforms and they use the code like words like moose knuck to describe that, and they do like these. It's like Star Trek with some dick and fart jokes and sort of Riker's been on the holodeck. You need to hose that place off. That kind of humor. But
Oh,
yeah, sorry, Riker. Oh man, and then the boy, like the kind of, and one of the weird things about the Greatest Generation is it kind of implies that Wesley and the captain have an inappropriate relationship because of how outwardly uncomfortable the captain is, and it's played up for laughs, and it's all like tongue in cheek. You can tell that the guys actually really love Star Trek, but also that they're kind of, I mean, they play up the embarrassment a little bit for comedy too. But it's very quickly becoming one of my favorite podcasts. It's updates on Mondays and Wednesdays, and they're already on season 4, so they're just about halfway through it.
I may have to look this up. I'm kind of interested
Whoa!
now.
Oh, sorry. You didn't say
What?
halfway there. I heard it halfway, and I jumped the gun about it a little bit. My bad. My bad. My bad.
Yeah. Living on a prayer is not your style. Not your strong suit. As one would have it.
Especially when all you're going to do is go, whoa, because then I think you're doing a Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure kind of thing.
Now, there was a no change there, I'll have you know. There was a
And-
whoa!
So have you guys seen the
I can see.
have you seen the video where the new cast of the new DuckTales sings the DuckTales theme
Yes,
song?
it was great.
I have, and
was
it's
so
adorable.
great. And that is a fucking impressive cast.
Yeah, freaking David Tennant, the Doctor, the Purple Man as Scrooge McDuck, an actual Scotsman. Yeah, Alan Young wasn't actually Scottish. Like there was an episode of the original DuckTales where Scrooge gets hit on the head, and the voice actor is basically just talking his regular voice, which I thought was great. But now you have a real Scotsman, a genuine Scotsman as Scrooge McDuck. You got 3 different voice actors as Huey, Dewey, and Louie, which Danny Pudi. What's his name? Ben Schwartz and Bobby Moynihan? No. Is that right?
Yeah, no, it's Bobby Moynihan.
Bobby Moynihan. And then they have, Garfunkel of Garfunkel and Oates playing, or she Oates. I forget which one she is. But anyway, Kate McCucci doing Webby, which implies that she's actually going to be a character with agency and not like an accessory.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
And
They wouldn't get her for just a little bit part. No, she's too funny.
And I'm really happy that they have a launch pad because I was worried that they're going to go back to the whole Carl Barks comic version where, all of DuckTales was based on this comic series from 20 years before that, like in the 60s, where all these stories were comic books, but instead of having Launchpad, you had Donald Duck. And for whatever reason, they didn't want to use Donald Duck for the 80s DuckTales series, but they're bringing him back and they're keeping Launchpad, so it's like the best of both worlds.
And it's just a very impressive voice cast.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if they're going to bring back Duckworth, the butler.
I don't know. We'll just have to watch and find out.
It seems like that could be pawned off to another, like, that he would be the Frank Welker. He would be played by Frank Welker. Come on.
The
Let's be
Frank
real.
Welker character?
Yeah.
I think it was Tony Jay who did him, like in the original one. I don't remember who played it might have been Eddie Albert or something like that. I think it was the voice actor who did Baloo, but I'd have to look it up. And then Gyro and what's Gizmo Duck? He's gonna be like an Iron Duck suit kind of thing going on.
I mean, it is owned by, it is literally Disney, and they have access to all that. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was maybe an Iron Man wink there.
What an amazing company where Gargoyles, DuckTales, Marvel, Star Wars are all under, and 538 are all under the same roof.
I would be curious if you like Rogue One better than Episode 7.
I'll let you know this time next week when we have another episode and I will have seen Rogue One. I really enjoyed Episode 7. Yeah, I really enjoyed Episode 7. I mean, not having seen Rogue One and only having seen, I've been trying to avoid, I think I've been good about avoiding spoilers. I have seen a couple of trailers, but not the most recent trailer. That being said, I think the one advantage Episode 7 has to Rogue One is that Episode 7 is not a prequel in any way, and so I don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen going into it. Everything was up for the taking. Characters could live or die or change or whatever. Rogue One, while we don't know most of these characters, at least the ones that I've seen in the trailer, because it's a prequel, it's going to be hampered a little bit by that prequel idea of I know in general what's going to happen. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to be an enjoyable film, especially since a lot of these characters we don't know. So I might know in general what happens with the Death Star and things like that, but I don't know what happened to all these characters. So we'll see. I've heard nothing but positive things so far, but I will give you a full report next week.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I am looking forward to Christmas. I think it's going to be super awesome. I am ready to get out of this year. For everyone's sake. Like my 2016, I kind of reflected on it personally, and honestly, for me personally, it was pretty good. One thing that I actually did right before I got out here on the show, I went out to the to one of the community pools with my dive group, and we had a rescue skills refresher course. So basically,
that's good. That's always good to have.
One of the certifications you can get as a PADI scuba diver is being a rescue diver, and so in all those certifications, even the basic scuba open water certification, there are skills that you need to demonstrate competency in, and this was a refresher course for people who had already passed the rescue diver course, but who maybe wanted to come in, bring their gear into the pool, splash around, and have live practice, like have live test subjects, essentially. And I am not a certified rescue diver. I'm only open water certified. So what I was there because, one, it was a great chance to get into the pool with some equipment and just get used to it again. Like, breathing underwater is weird, and the equipment is things that you need to be very familiar with. And to get back into the pool and get more familiar with that stuff again was perfect. Plus, I was going to be a victim for some of these exercises, so I was fine with that. I got waved over by one of the instructors. He was like, "Hey, next time you get to be a victim, I want you to grab the rescue diver. I want you to grab anything you can on him, rip off his mask, do whatever you want as a panic diver." And I'm like, check.
Oh, wow.
And so I did. I grabbed at everything. And this rescue diver did an excellent job of essentially getting control of me, which is what they're supposed to do. So it was a great exercise. And like I said, anytime someone tells you, go nuts on this guy, that's great. Whether it's rescue diving or judo or porn, go nuts on this guy is a great command to hear.
And it's good that the instructor obviously had that much confidence in this guy to be like, yeah, go nuts.
Yeah. Because
I found a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm
If we want to go back to Kosher, I found out a lot more information about Kosher.
Oh my God.
Mostly I found out that there is an actual app that you can get for either Android or iOS that is called Is It Kosher? And it's mostly for like restaurants and stuff, but it's just an app that you can plug in and be like, "Hey, is this kosher? Yes or no?" Which is kind of awesome. To answer your question from earlier, Jonathan, no. Shark is not kosher. The general rule about anything that swims is that in order for it to be kosher, it has to have fins and scales. It has to have both. There are some, not exceptions, but basically if a fish is not completely covered in scales, it's still okay. It only has to have several scales. If it's a young fish that gets scales later in life, it's still considered kosher, even if it's still young. If a fish has scales when they're in the water, but they shed their scales when they're caught and brought to dry land, they're still considered kosher. Also, unlike beasts on the land that you have to slaughter in a ritual way in order to make them kosher. If you don't have to do that with seafood. If you A fish is considered slaughtered as soon as you remove it from the water, which is creepy, actually, when you think about it. There is the stipulation that you are not allowed to eat a fish while it's still alive, but it is considered slaughtered as soon as you remove it from the ocean. So
basically,
that's weird.
That dentist in Finding Nemo slaughtered Nemo.
Yes. He could have then killed Nemo and eaten him, and he would have been kosher. And actually, Nemo would be kosher because Nemo had fins and scales. But that is why sharks are not kosher, is they don't have scales. In fact, most and I was reading a little bit about birds are kind of a similar thing. It's a lot of prey animals. So catfish, eels, swordfish, sturgeon, stuff that eat other stuff tend to not be kosher. But I just love that point of like, as soon as you remove it from the water, it's considered slaughtered. Like, that's harsh.
I slaughter this fish. I unslaughter this fish. I slaughter this fish.
Yoink.
I unslaughter this fish.
Yep. So yes, I looked up some quick Jewfact.org stuff about the beasts of the earth and what is kosher.
Jewfact.org to
Yeah,
get all
seriously.
your chosen needs.
Yes, literally www.jewfaq.org. Go check it out. It's awesome. I've actually been to this website a couple of times and it's amazing. They quote right out of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, which is where all the kosher stuff is. In amongst all the other crazy stuff that's in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, you can find out stuff like, hey, don't eat oysters. And
and if your kid talks back to you, you can put him to death.
Luke is asking about orcas and whale. No, because as we just found out, you have to have both fins and scales in order to be kosher.
Plus killer whales, orcas eat other stuff. So
true, although that's not a definitive no. But yeah, as far as kosher law goes, if it's in the ocean, the way you know that you can eat it is it actually being a mammal or a shellfish or the actual scientific classification is irrelevant. Does it have fins and scales? Yes, it's kosher. No, it's not. And you can't eat rodents, reptiles, amphibians, or insects. Although there's a few specific insects that Leviticus permits that are winged swarming things. And I think that's probably locusts, if I remember correctly. And that's just because Jews are bitter. And that's half a
funny.
joke. And
no, that was good. That was good.
All right. Does anybody else have any specific animals they would like to ask Kosher about? Because now I actually have all the rules here in front of me and I can be an informed Jew.
Oh, man. If you had told me this morning that we'd be reviewing the finer points of kosher law on the podcast, I said, actually, the odds are about 50-50.
I just thought that I wasn't thinking about finer points of law. I just thought this would be a fun new segment called Kosher, Not Kosher.
I think it's fun. I think we could come up with. We shouldn't now, so we can make it a thing. But definitely, let's think of other plausible or maybe less than plausible things that could or may not be kosher. Fuck, I can't talk. Kosher, and then we'll put it to the Jewfax test.
We'll put it to the test.
Absolutely.
For the land animals, just to give you the basic rule, so like stuff in the water, it has to have fins and scales, and there's some other lesser, qualifications, but basically fins and scales. Of the beasts of the earth, which is basically any land mammal with the exception of swarming rodents, you can eat anything that has cloven hooves and chews its cud. If it does both those things, it's A-okay. If it does not, it's a no-go, which is why camels, rock badgers, rabbits, and pigs are not kosher. However, bison are kosher. So, the Jews might be one of the people responsible for the slaughter of a lot of bison. I don't know. They're kosher. Also, as previously stated, giraffe. Turkey are kosher. Birds, it's a little weird. All they say is that basically the Torah just lists a whole bunch of birds you can't eat, which is weird. Like they don't give a law. It just says, don't eat these birds, and it lists a whole bunch of them. All of them happen to be birds of prey or scavengers. So a lot of rabbi think that you basically, if you're a bird of prey or scavenger, that's why bald eagles, not kosher. But chicken, geese, ducks, and turkey are all kosher.
I love your warning. Don't eat these birds. I can imagine like Aaron or Caleb running up to Moses being like, Moses, wait, don't eat those birds.
Nope, not these. These are bad. Don't eat that. Wait, first, how did you catch that? Second, don't eat it. There you go. That's been your kosher half of an episode. Stay tuned next week when we will continue our new segment, Is It Kosher? I feel like I need some really bad, like, klezmer outro music now. Is it kosher?
Our sound producer is Jonathan. We answer to a higher authority, Cerna.
I am going to find these questionably kosher animals and eat them, but then also ask, is it kosher? Whether that becomes before the eating or not, only God knows.
Fantastic.
Only God and Jewfact.org.
And Jewfact.org. You'd think we were sponsored by Jewfact.org, but we're not.
I am.
But
I think
we have been chosen.
I think we're a food, specifically niche food podcast now. Let's change our name from Glib Shark to Fantastic Eats and where to find them. Yeah.
Bra fucking vo.
Okay. So, you may have heard some words at the beginning of the show. Those were spoken by Bob Ball, our voice announcer. And you might have heard a little ditty. That was composed by our buddy Linnea Boyev. We thank you for joining us for a perfectly great hour of Glib Shark. And on behalf of Jonathan, Lauren, and the entire Glib Shark staff, this is Jack Edithel saying good night, good health, and stay kosher, my friends.
All right, let's